Jason King. Now, Jason has been in the blockchain space for a really, really, really long time. And a really nice quote of his that I like to say, Jason says that, you know, when he was in blockchain, they used to call it Bitcoin because that's all there was. And I think that's kind of nice. He's been doing a lot. He was the first person to really discover the effects that Bitcoin could have and the help that it could bring to nonprofits and to charities. So he demonstrated the powerful effects that Bitcoin could have on charity with his organization, Sean's Outpost, that fed over 167,000 meals to the homeless, all paid for with cryptocurrency. And he also founded Satoshi Forest, which is a 9-acre homeless sanctuary in Northwest Florida. He is the founder and executive director of Unsung.org, which is an app that aims to leverage the sharing economy to end hunger and food waste. And now he's going to be talking to you about a really exciting project of his. He is the co-founder at Academy, which is a school for blockchain. Now, what they're doing at Academy is addressing a problem that I'm sure every single person in this room, if you're growing a business, has encountered, that there are not enough blockchain developers in the space. So could you please give Jason King a very warm welcome to the stage as he explains what Academy is doing to help solve that.
Well, I feel like Naomi already gave most of my speech, so that was awesome. It was a great setup there. A huge fan of D10E. Like Mike said, I've been with the event pretty much from the beginning, and super happy to be here. I used to live in Seoul a long time ago. I love the area a lot, love the people, and you guys are one of the epicenters for the blockchain movement, and the blockchain businesses that are here are some of the forefront in the entire world. So it's really important. So I've been in the Bitcoin blockchain space since 2010, and we've seen a whole lot of growth in this industry since then. So we're going to talk about that. All right, current blockchain landscape. So in 2016, as an industry, we raised a little under $100 million in ICOs. And then last year in 2017, and this slide's not even correct, we raised about $4.2 billion. That's a really great thing. That we've been growing a whole lot as an industry. We're actually slated to grow 16x over the next 7 years. We're moving very, very quickly. And so all of that's really exciting, except when you think about this. We polled 200 Fortune 500 executives. And of those 200, 188 of them said that they had plans to implement blockchain technology, which sounds great, except when we find out that only 12 of those 188 actually felt like they could identify the engineering talent to implement that blockchain technology. And the reason for that is this. Currently, on the face of the earth, there are 14 available jobs for every qualified blockchain developer in the world. And in our industry, we're planning on growing 16 times over the next 7 years. So it's kind of a problem right now. And so with this situation, we run into several issues. One is that we run into a bottleneck of all of our talent. And we're already seeing this right now. If you're running a blockchain company, you know this. You know that you're having a hard time identifying talent and bringing in engineering. And what that could actually end up leading to is a sector implosion. I actually personally think that this is the largest threat to the blockchain ecosystem right now, is the failure to actually be able to attract engineering talent. And what that means is that all of the promise that we have for projects that we love and we hope to see come to market, that some of those projects are going to stall out. Now, I don't mean the blockchain projects that suck and are just going to fail because of the marketplace. I actually mean things that are great, things that have the power to change the world, that are actually going to die on the vine because of engineering problems. So why has it been like this? Like, why do we have this shortage? Well, there's a couple of reasons for it. The main one is that right now, the people that can do blockchain development, they actually get paid a whole lot more to be in production than they do to teach. And so we've been really slow to implement any sort of educational foundations. Traditional curriculums at universities are actually really bad. In the United States, it takes 2 to 3 years to actually get an official program put into a normal university. And that's after you've already found like a faculty member that's willing to walk through and actually take that curriculum in and make it part of the university. And so we've also had a huge failure to have any sort of certifications or basically educational standardization in the industry. So what's the solution to this problem? So last year, in Africa, I met a man who's going to change my life. His name is John Souza. He's the founder of Kingsland University. And when we met in Africa, he said, hey, Jason, I have this university. It's in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm interested in doing some blockchain education. But what he meant by that is he meant executive education. And that wasn't particularly interesting to me. Not that executives don't need to be trained on blockchain, but it just didn't seem like a very impactful thing to talk about. So I kind of went on my way and said, hey, that's a great idea, but not really my thing. And then we parted ways. The next month, I was speaking to the European Union about my company, Unsung.org. And I was talking to them about the fact that they had wasted $2.1 billion in feeding refugees in Europe that didn't actually get fed. It's because they were paying NGOs to feed refugees, and those NGOs actually weren't doing the job. And not only were they not feeding people, but because they didn't have a transparency and accountability system, they were able to not feed people and then come back the next year and actually reapply for the same program and get paid once again to not feed refugees. And so what I suggested is that if they had a blockchain-based identity system and could make these refugees part of a distributed cohort, that they could pull that cohort and say simple questions like, hey, did you get fed today? And then if the answer was no, well, hey, guess what? The NGO doesn't get fed. So they were a little startled by me calling them out, but after that, they actually came to us and asked my company, Unsung, to build this pilot program out. And so we were very excited about that. So I started calling my friends that were blockchain developers and saying, hey, we've got this great thing. The European Union wants to back this pilot program. Will you help us build this project? And they were all like, Jason, this is a great idea. I would love to do that. But currently, I have a job. I have like 6 projects behind that job. I'm advising like 10 companies right now. But when all of that clears off my plate, I would love to build this for you. And so I went from developer to developer to developer asking this, and I got some version of that same issue. And so I dug in, and I found all of these statistics that I was quoting earlier about how desperate this job market is in the blockchain industry right now. And so after all of that, I called John Souza, this guy that I met in Africa back, and I said, hey, look, I know this is different than what you were asking for, but what do you think about us starting a formal, fully accredited school for blockchain development? And last year, that's what we did. We stood up the Academy School of Blockchain, the world's first fully accredited school for blockchain development. Academy is a full-circle solution which gives developers, executives, and universities tailored options for blockchain education and connects graduates with seeking careers with meaningful companies looking to hire them. Our key class that we teach is we teach a 6-week full immersion project-based course that can take a qualified software developer and train them on blockchain best practices so that they go in as software developer and 6 weeks later they come out a blockchain developer. So we have these modules for retraining software developers into the blockchain ecosystem, and all of it is project-based and hands-on. At Kingsland University, we have successfully delivered global education programs for almost a decade. We've trained over 275,000 students worldwide, and are already a leader and provider of education for emerging and disruptive technologies. These are a list of a bunch of the partners that we have done training things for, lots of Fortune 500 companies, names that lots of people have recognized. We're a Sachs-Cassie accredited university. And so in the United States, the Southern Association for Colleges and Schools is the accrediting body for all of the schools in the southern portion of the United States. What that does is in the US, that gives us access to Title IV and Title IX funding. And what those are the federal programs, the grants, and the loans that are available for student aid. And it's also the Veterans Administration and Montgomery GI Bill. And what that means is that for the first time ever, in the US at least, there are hundreds of billions of dollars in educational assistance that are now available to train people in blockchain. Currently, Academy is the only fully accredited blockchain educator in the world. We have a SCORM-compatible delivery system, and what that means is that because we're an accredited university, we can create a course online, and what SCORM is basically like an API that allows us to create a course and then syndicate it out to other accredited universities worldwide. So this is sort of a hack and a backdoor into other educational institutions that don't have the opportunities to teach blockchain there because they have Board of Governors issues in getting curriculum approved. They can teach our curriculum. So you could see something like blockchain education at Duke University, brought to you by Academy School of Blockchain. And so this will solve a lot of the standardization issues in blockchain training. We can provide it, and then we can syndicate those course materials out to other universities worldwide. So we're already engaged with several countries in rolling out our education. We launched our first class on January 29th, and we currently have 150 developers enrolled in that. We wanted it to be a small program because it was our first one. We had run a couple of test classes last year, but this one we didn't do a lot of fanfare in recruiting for it. We made one post on a school bulletin board, and we had 680 applications for it within the first 2 days. Of those 680, 300 of them actually passed our entrance exam, and we took 150 of them into the class. And what our plan is that we've identified qualified technology trainers, people that are already good at teaching software and software development, and we're putting those trainers into our programs to train the trainers, to build an army of people that we can actually deploy worldwide to markets around the globe that need this education, and we can go into markets and teach the markets about blockchain development. So our next class is actually in Singapore in April, and we're currently teaching in Sofia, Bulgaria as well. Those classes will run 4 times a year, and I'm happy to announce that we're actually pretty deep in negotiations to actually launch the Academy School of Blockchain here in Korea in early May. So we're very excited to be coming into this market, and I'd love to talk to anybody here about that. Aside from blockchain development, we have just a sort of a wide array of course stuff. So we have a coding academy that's not blockchain, but it can take someone that has no experience and turn them into a junior developer. We've been running that program for 5 years now. It's a 2-year period. It's a 1-year class that's fully immersion, hands-on training. And then we do 1 year on-the-job training placement with an additional year of education. From that program, we have a 92% placement rate, which is actually one of the highest placement rates in the world for this sort of program. And the Blockchain Academy is what we've been talking about, but we also do executive educations. So we do have a full line of products for teaching Deloitte's and KPMG's and PricewaterhouseCoopers and all of those sorts of companies as well. And we also do consumer education, which is Blockchain 101, how to get your first Bitcoin wallet, things like that, that we look at as more of evangelization instead of a profit motive. And what we're getting a lot more requests for is industry-specific training where companies are actually coming to us and saying, hey, we need this to be trained, can you do this? Our team is fantastic. These are my co-founders and I. The reason our curriculum is so great is we actually went directly to the people that built a lot of the protocols and the systems that actually make up the blockchain ecosystem. You're going to hear from some of them today. Alex Lightman, I see right here in the second row, and Craig Sellers you'll hear from as well. So these are the founders of major ecosystems like RSK, Tether, Omni, Vatomic, Monero. These are the guys that are actually helping us directly make our curriculum. Brock Pierce, who I'm speaking in his place right now, is our lead advisor, so we have really great people on our team. We announced last month, we actually acquired a company called SoftUni, which you may or may not be familiar with, but you should be. They're the largest privately held university in Europe. They currently have 150,000 software development students in their population. They're located in Sofia, Bulgaria. They were on the cover of Forbes last month in Eastern Europe, if you happen to have seen a copy of that. So we headquarter out of Sofia, and we do most of our blockchain training curriculum building out there, and fantastic group of guys. So yeah, this is how deep our training's been. We've done 410 courses in software development, 420 seminars, 7,800 video lessons, and over 32,000 hours of video content. 92% placement rating in our software development studies. Currently, this year, we plan on having 1,600 developers come through our training, and we already have requests for over 8,000 graduates. So this sort of gives you an idea of the gravity of how interested people are in hiring blockchain developers and what the appetite is for that. And then just briefly at the end, we're in the middle of a token sale right now. We're launching the ACAD token, which is usable for tuition and services directly from Academy. We're doing a $50 million raise. As of this morning, we've raised a little over $31 million, so we're quite on the way. The sale ends in April. The token will give you priority placement for our classes, and it'll also give you priority placement for hiring our graduates. So if it's something that you think you're going to need, if your company's going to need to hire graduates, getting into our token sale is a way to basically get early access to our graduates and kind of cut you in line in front of other people. And I am running out of time here. We have a very interesting token mechanic. We burn 70% of our tokens that come in. So this is a highly deflationary token mechanic. When a token comes in for either tuition or services, we burn 70% of that, and then 15% goes into a dedicated scholarship fund, and 15% goes into a community management fund. And those funds actually get used to subsidize markets that wouldn't normally be profitable for us to go into, and to directly incentivize students that would otherwise not have access to this education. And I'm all out of time. Thank you very much, Korea, and I look forward to talking to you guys afterwards. Thanks.